Another edition of the CFB Roundtable. Happy to be joined by my guys. You see them every day from 11 to 12 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 to 11 Central Time on all the Outkick channels, on YouTube, on the website. Chad Withrow, Jonathan Hutton, the Hot Mic boys are here. Another round. It's been an absolute crazy week, boys, from a college football standpoint. I mean, we had upsets last weekend, a little bit of chaos, and then this week comes along and Bill Belichick's in the news, and it just seems like it never ends. Heading into a crazy slate on Saturday, and that's kind of where I want to start. Chad, we'll start it off with you here with Bill Belichick and everything that came out on Wednesday and actually Tuesday. WRAL in Chapel Hill did an in-depth piece where they were talking to parents and whatnot, and even some folks inside the administration. I've spoken with folks as well, and it's a cluster. There are folks at the lower level that are worried about their job, that they're going to have a job moving forward. Ali Conley, person who put out the stuff on Wednesday. Just for clarity's sake, I worked for Ollie. I worked for the Read Optional back in the day. I know who Ollie's sources are on that, and he was pretty lined up. Even though, I guess what was it, Wednesday night? Bill Belichick, Chad, and Bubba Cunningham released statements, but they aren't really statements, Chad. They're one-word little sentences. That pretty much said, "Hey, we're going to continue doing this." Just when you look at it all, Withrow, how do you sum this up? We're 5 games into the season. We're already having to put out support statements for the head coach.
Yeah, look, it was weird from the beginning, right? I mean, not just weird that Bill Belichick was a college coach and wanted to do this at this late stage in his career, but then you throw in Jordan Hudson, the Jordan Hudson of it all, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That became another plot line, and she's interfering with Hard Knocks being there, and now the Hulu series gets canceled, and Bill Belichick comes into it seemingly like a guy who understands that you have to recruit and you can't just draft players at this level. So he was a little bit more open, a little bit more nice, I guess is the word to use in press conferences. And now he's sort of reverted to the old Bill Belichick as the losing has started. And then I believe Ollie Connolly's got good sources. And anytime you get a report like that and then they have to come out and say that, that's the kiss of death, right? We've seen it time and time again. We support the coach. Coach is the coach. Coach is going to coach the rest of the year. It does not surprise me one bit if that report is true that Belichick is privately having discussions about how do I pull the plug on this whole experiment after one season. Make it through the year. This isn't working. We can reduce the buyout. And then I'm looking at it. It looks like a $50 million contract, 30 million of it's guaranteed. They would have to pay him $10 million a year for the next 3 years if they were to
Right.
fire him after this year. Would be the deal. It's a lot of money. You know, in a world now where LSU's out there signing a corporate sponsor to be the patch on the jersey, like
Yep.
LSU, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Michigan, all these huge brands, they're all going to have to go about selling and making sure you have enough money to compete at the highest level. And if North Carolina were to do this and owe someone $10 million over the next 3 years, man, it puts that program behind the eight ball. But it's what needs to be done. I think at this point, it's pretty simple to say that this isn't going well, and I don't see it turning a corner anytime soon.
Well,
Well, keep in
Hutton,
mind, yeah, go
Hutton,
ahead.
like the biggest thing too is coming from the NFL world to college, it's obviously different. That's an easy way
Right.
to put it.
Sure.
But we look at the day-to-day activities, like the reports of that the communication between parents and whatnot to players and the coaches. It's non-existent, and Belichick is pretty much off limits when it comes to athletes there, and how they have changed things down and get preferential treatments to transfers and whatnot.
Right.
And even in Ollie Conley's thing, he didn't say the name of the assistant coach, but he literally quoted the coach and said, the rats are fleeing the ship. And so I just, looking at it, Hutton, from the NFL to college standpoint, like it was always a risk that this thing wasn't going to potentially work. And I just don't buy the statements that were put out on Wednesday night.
No, there's no reason to. And here's the thing. Chad mentioned that LSU with the jersey patch. Belichick was the UNC football program's jersey patch. They wanted to sell this like Colorado is selling Dion, and
Great
they
point.
wanted to have Hulu. At first they wanted Hard Knocks. They want to get paid for that. They
Yeah.
want to be a national brand that is on demand. And right now, you can't even find episode 1 anywhere. So that's the thing is like they went all in with this idea that they were going to save all of their athletic programs with the hiring of Bill Belichick. They have 28 D1 programs in the athletic department. Florida State has 18. So if you're talking monetary issues, it goes beyond his buyout. It was supposed to work much better than this. At worst, it was a 3-year agreement that brought eyeballs to the program. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. They part ways, whatever. This has gone so horribly wrong that both sides just can't wait to just wash their hands of it and leave. And I think it says something that it's their bye week. You know, they have the week off, and Belichick would have to be the one initiating some of this contact. If he's willing to lower his buyout, that means he's wanting to abandon ship.
Right. And I just don't buy there's a lot of cover that's thrown out there from different people. Oh, he was on the phone with recruits till late last night. What's late for Belichick? 9:30?
Chad, where do they rank in recruiting?
Way past his 8 p.m. bedtime. He was on the phone with recruits.
It is too late, yeah. Jordan Hudson.
They're 18th. I mean, they're 4th in the ACC, only behind Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. So he's actually recruiting pretty well, which shocked me when I looked it up. They have 10 star commitments, according to On3. So recruiting is doing well. But, I mean, Trey, you hit at it, too. I mean, that's going to slide quickly if there's any uncertainty about him being the head coach. So you gotta nip all this stuff out if he is going to stay and be the coach. But it's also a reason why if he's not going to be the coach, you want to do something quicker so you can salvage whatever you can with whoever's coming in.
Yes.
But Hutton, is this more about reputation for Bill Belichick?
No.
And when he would put his foot down and say, you know what, I'm going to ride this shit through. I'm going to be that coach no matter what they're going to have to pay me to leave the situation. Is it reputation, or is it just everybody involved, from Lombardi that's there to his kids that are there to all the staffers they brought in? Like, that's a complete overhaul, Hud.
Sure. It's two people that it's about. It's about Jordan Hudson and Bubba Cunningham. Those are, I mean, anyone else is just there because Belichick's there in the football program. I don't think it's reputation because he took the job because he wanted to coach. His reputation was hit when he was interviewing with the Falcons, and the Falcons didn't want him, and he couldn't get another interview. That he wanted to coach so much that he took this job, and everyone's surprised by it. Like, it's gone from that to this on his end too, very fast. He hasn't been the same guy we're used to. Behind the scenes, whatever, but publicly, what we've seen from him over the last year and a half has been bizarre, to say the least. And it's not like they just started dating. You know, this has been since 2021 or 22. Their relationship goes back. So I mean, it's bizarre. He's older. He wants to coach, and the whole thing about the report from Conley about he wants a soft landing in coaching, or soft landing where? I mean, I hope Middle Tennessee fires Derek Mason and hires Bill Belichick, but that's not a soft landing.
Maybe soft landing is his nickname for Jordan Hudson. And that's what he just wants a soft landing, guys. That's Jordan Hudson. A very soft landing.
Yes, and an early bedtime. I promise you he was not on the phone until midnight last night talking to recruits. I can go ahead and just lay that out there right now. Last question on Belichick,
when I'm his age, by the way, I definitely will not have a 24-year-old girlfriend, nor would any 24-year-old woman want to be around me at that age. But if I'm his age, I will be drinking warm milk and putting myself in slippers into bed at 8 p.m. So we joke about that, but that will be my life if I reach that age.
So, Hutton, is Bill Belichick the coach? Because I'm speaking with folks about this right now. There were recruiting staffers that are sending out, they're calling other schools to kind of gauge the interest of what life would be like, which I get. If my job was coming up and there was talk of my boss going to be fired or potentially leaving, I'm going to quietly float my resume out there to other people. So I guess my question is, do you think Bill Belichick is the coach in January of 2026 at North Carolina?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't feel like he's the coach right now. If they're doing this, if the reports are spot on accurate,
that's a great point.
Like, it doesn't feel like he's in it. If you're negotiating your buyout right now, it's like a soft landing and media. Like, he's already planning his next spot. He's trying to negotiate that more than negotiate or discuss internally what the hell's going on with their roster. So Yeah, I mean, it's all bizarre to me because it's not the GOAT coach that we thought was behind the playbook. This is like Chad said, this is the 73, 74-year-old with the 24-year-old. And he's, keep in mind, like, imagine being a parent or a player right now.
Right.
Like this is just like it's just a Thursday for them. They're used to this by now. This has been going on all year, and it feels like it's been going on for 5 years.
Well, Chad, can he handle can I know he can probably handle it, but can North Carolina handle all the bad PR that could potentially come over the next 2.5 months before the season's over and say, okay, let's run this back. Let's go try to sell some season tickets to folks and get some NIL donations to be able to prop this program up and afford everything. That to me stands out more than anything.
Yeah, I don't think he's back for a second year. I think this is, to me, sort of I don't know that we're going to have an incident like with Urban Meyer, but it's the college football version of Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer tried the NFL. It was a miserable failure. And he was done before the end of his first year with the Jacksonville Jags amidst, did he kick the kicker, I think, at one point? And then, of
Something
course,
like that.
And,
Scobie.
Yeah, it's a lot of those elements with the off-the-field stuff with Jordan Hudson, with Bill Belichick. But guys, I mean, and this could just be Bill Belichick's demeanor that we've seen over the years with the Patriots. If someone were to watch an old Patriots press conference and they didn't know Bill Belichick won multiple Super Bowls, they'd say, boy, this looks like a guy who's disconnected and really doesn't like his job and doesn't want to be there. Well, that's the way he looks now with North Carolina. And maybe I'm reading too much into that because of his demeanor. But when I see him talk about games or talk about the upcoming opponent, he seems like a guy who's done, that he doesn't really want to be there or doing this anymore. And he gave it the old college try, and now it's time to go do something else and go be on TV.
And it's more than what he's saying too. And Chad and I have discussed this, Trey. It's also what's going on the sideline. With Jordan down there and stuff like that would never happen. Like he can act like he's disconnected from a roster or he doesn't like his job, but he was an asshole, right?
Yes.
And in this case, that tracked with how he acted on the sideline, right? Like what we're seeing there is totally different. And that's what I mean by bizarre, that it doesn't match his entire career.
I think to land this thing, I think that reality set in once the season started, that this college thing is going to be a lot more difficult than they thought, because what they did was they went in there and they just overloaded on players. It's not like they brought in a bunch of good players. They just overloaded the roster with a bunch of bodies. I mean, they got Gio Lopez from South Alabama. Thanks, Bill, for taking my quarterback. Now his career's just gone to shit in Chapel Hill. And then when you look at the class coming up, Chad, you mentioned at the rankings and whatnot, they're also just loading up on the recruiting class. Like I think it's over the 30 mark for the 2026 year. So I don't see it. I don't see it from a public relations standpoint of how this is going to work for another season. And you got to go through, the winter workout, spring football, summer, just to get to next season. I just think it's a disaster as it plays out. But Belichick news will continue. We'll see what happens down the road. If they lose 3 or 4 more games, I could see North Carolina cutting bait and figure out a way. If they wanted to, because there was a bunch of reports out there about recruiting violations and NCAA stuff, they could literally pull a Tennessee and pile up a shitload of violations. Right. And they'll have a reason to fire him with cause.
That's why he's negotiating.
The old Jeremy Pruitt, and it worked, for Tennessee. So there's a template there to follow where Tennessee was able to do it and move on quickly and fire someone with cause. Trey, it's funny you bring that, but the first thing I thought when I saw these reports of violations was, they're going to Pruitt them. This is what's happened to Bill. Here comes the Pruitt treatment.
That's exactly right. They've already had one assistant coach that is suspended this week for pretty much giving access to one family to the field before pregame, which I'm sure the teammates were like, wait a minute, why does their family get on the field and I can't get on the field? Like, it's all weird, and he's suspended right now. But I remember vividly, Chad, sitting in that press conference where Donnie Plowman said, I cannot believe there were over 33 violations, and I'm like, this feels like they're doing it to Belichick. So we'll find out here soon. Let's look ahead to the weekend. Some entertaining matchups going on. I want to start off in the Northwest. Indiana is going to Oregon. I'm fascinated by this because I want to see Mendoza for Indiana, see what he can do against Dan Lanning's defense. At the same time, I love Dante Moore and what he's doing at quarterback. And Hut, we'll start off with you here as we get predictions and run down 3 or 4 games. I want to believe Indiana is going to go to Eugene. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I want to believe that this is going to be a close game, a back and forth offensive shootout. But then at the same time, we say that, and this could turn into a slobber knocker. I'm curious,
I mean, the spread is 7.5. I think last I checked.
Yeah, 7.5. The spread right now is currently sitting at 7.5. And I don't know if that'll dip or not. Yeah.
I mean, you know how the Big Ten is when it comes to travel. That's another 3.5 points right there. They bitch so much about that.
Yes.
Look, Indiana with the defense, they have 19 transfers that have worked out well, but can they slow down the Oregon's firepower here? Right, like the trenches. The trenches to me, Oregon's offensive line is going to have a significant size advantage over the defensive front for Indiana.
Yep.
So, the defense is great, but Oregon's balanced on offense. They're explosive. I think that's too much for Indiana to handle on the road. And it's a CBS afternoon game, I think. So
yeah, so it's 12:30 local time.
So, okay. So, I mean, again, like that's life in college football right now. They're a little earlier starts, but like they have Oregon's the top 10 scoring offense, and Indiana's defense is legit, top 5, I think. So, with that in mind, it comes down to quarterback play. Dante Moore's been a ton of fun to watch. Mendoza's been fine too, but I'm saying Dante Moore he's one of the Heisman favorites.
Yeah, and that makes it interesting. And Chad, when you look at this one too, it's Dan Lanning and Oregon have proven they've gone to Penn State and won a big game like that. And at the same time, this one, there's something about Kirk Cignetti, Chad, that he's going to have this team ready to go. I get to travel shit. Like, I understand it. They got to travel 3.5 hours on a flight is what it is. But this could also be, Chad, remember last year we were all, the argument in college football was like, oh man, Indiana doesn't belong. If Indiana goes to Oregon and wins this football game, you put that to bed, and now there's a conversation that maybe there's new blood in the conference, Withrow.
Yeah, they're the number 1 team in the country. I mean, it's between them and Miami, I think. The teams who have done the most this year, they go to Oregon and win. They're not going to go to Oregon and win. I don't see that happening. But this Indiana team is no fluke. And you know who's actually not going to bitch about the travel is Kurt Cignetti. That's not really the way he operates. He is a no-nonsense ass kicker. I love that guy. And he carries a grudge with the very best of them. And he uses all the talk about Indiana as motivation with his guys, I'm sure, and for himself. I mean, he is the least respected big-time coach in college football. Still
Great
to this
point.
day. And he carries that. And he has an air about him that a lot of people aren't going to like. I personally love it in a coach, and he's done a hell of a job. But no, I don't see any way they're going to Oregon and winning this game. They're going to score some points. It's going to be exciting at times, but I think Oregon is too good. Oregon's in my national championship game before the season. Unfortunately for me, I had them against Texas. But I really like this Oregon team, and they've done nothing to let me down the way the Longhorns have.
I had Clemson, so.
Shit! Oh my God! Yeah,
hey, this game feels a bit like, in a way, Alabama Vandy.
Yep,
that's a great way to put it.
I think when Chad said it's going to stay close for a while, like it kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
I just think that but in the trenches is where I think Oregon wins this game.
Much like the Vandy trip to Alabama, I don't think that we're going to leave this game saying, boy, Indiana was overhyped. Right. I think we leave the game saying, no, Indiana's very good. They're a team that can win the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree.
Oregon's just good, and they were at home, and they were better. Yeah. But I think we leave the game, much like the Vandy game, saying, Vandy's going to be a really, really difficult out for anyone they play.
Yes.
And they could theoretically win out, possibly. Yes. They've got a number of games they can lose, I think.
Yeah. They can go toe-to-toe with anybody left. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a good point. And by the way, I'm taking Oregon to win, but Indiana covers the spread. I think it's a little interesting in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to go with that one. I love what Mendoza's doing on the offense. Speaking of Vanderbilt, in a way, they traveled to Tuscaloosa last weekend. Interesting game. Glad I picked it. I thought if Vanderbilt would have kicked field goals out of those 2 possessions where they turned the ball over inside the Alabama 10-yard line, that game is different. I'm not saying Vanderbilt would have won. Sure. I'm saying the game would have obviously just been a different feel. But speaking of Alabama, I'm loving Ty Simpson right now and what he's doing. Jam Miller's running the football. Got Caden Proctor running on 4th downs and picking up 1st downs. Like Kalen DeBoer feels like he feels like he's coaching pissed off. in a sense, like he's like, okay, here we go. I'm no longer going to live and worry about this Nick Saban shadow and whatnot. But here comes an interesting stretch here. They played Georgia, they played Vanderbilt. Now they go on the road to Missouri on Saturday and going to have to play Bo Pribula and whatever Eli Drinkwitz is going to dial up on offense, Chad. I'm not calling this any kind of trap game. I don't want to call this an upset game because I think that's disrespectful to Missouri. But at the same time, boy, oh boy, Missouri could really make a statement if they were to beat Alabama. But at the same time, Chad, we could be like, well, damn, Alabama lost to Florida State. Now they've gone on this crazy-ass run. These boys are back. Like, how do you look at this game on Saturday?
Eli Drinkwitz got a lot of Kurt Signetti to him, I think, with his air of confidence and the way he walks around.
Yes.
And he's got a constant chip on his shoulder about where he's coaching and about his team and being overlooked and disrespected. I think they have been overlooked and disrespected. They also really haven't played anyone. You know, they played South Carolina, where Lenore Sellers, I think, was less than 100% in that game and won at home. They had a battle on their hands with Kansas back and forth and won that game. But other than that, this is their first real test. I think Alabama's a lot better. I think Alabama goes in there and wins. I think it's, under 10 points. But I think Alabama gets it done. But I'll bring this to you, Hutton and Trey.
Yeah.
Boy, this feels like the type of game that Kalen DeBoer loses at Alabama, right? Like this has Oklahoma of a year ago on the road written all over it. It's not the huge game that's built up that he loses. He beat Georgia a year ago. They walloped LSU on the road a year ago. They go to Georgia and win. They win the college game day game against Vandy. I got no problem picking Alabama in those games. I'm a little bit more apprehensive to pick Kalen DeBoer in this spot because so far through a season and a half at Alabama, this is the one he's shown to lose.
Yeah.
In the past.
And look, Missouri, they're going to put up points, top offense, right? In the SEC.
Yeah.
They're going to run the football on Bama. They have the nation's leading rusher.
Best running back in the country.
730 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Right.
So they're going to run on Bama. Bama's defense will give up the run. Both of these teams have solid defenses, though, right? Missouri's ranked. It's about who you played. I get it. Yeah. Alabama's on the four-game win streak. Chad just laid it out. But to me, as long as Ty Simpson continues to play this well, no one's beating Bama anytime soon. I mean, he's just efficient. 13 touchdown. Only 1 interception.
Yep.
So is Missouri legit? I mean, this is a major test for a team that has played that schedule. That's just they played who they played. A win over Bama means they're legit contenders, and you've got the rushing attack against Alabama's defense. And to start the season, I said Alabama reminded me of a West Coast team. That doesn't mean you can't make a college football championship game because Kalen DeBoer did that at Washington. Yep. But it didn't feel like Bama. Recently, it has. So if Alabama is back, they stop that run game. They win this game in the trenches instead of mixing things up and scheming things up. That was the thing about the scheming things up was the thing about Florida State when they're lost. They need to try to. That's what the analysts are saying. I'm like, since when did Alabama need to do anything but just line up and kick your ass?
Right.
It's a different feel than what we're seeing now. And to Chad's point, I mean, the stretch continues. By the way, they've got LSU. They've gone through Georgia. They've got Tennessee next, right? So they've got then LSU. They've got Missouri this week. They're coming off of a legit game against Vandy. Prior to that, Georgia. I mean,
they're going to play Oklahoma too.
They're going to lose one of these games, and because they're going to look like they did midway through the season last year. And we know what Missouri's fan base is going to be bringing if it's anything close to what Chad and I have heard on social media for saying that their stadium sucks.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point that you guys just try to rack
those
them
rocks
up.
Will be hopping.
That rock formation is going to be lit.
It'll be incredible
Saturday in that game.
So we're all picking Alabama or no?
I'm picking Bama.
I'm going Bama. I'm going with Ty Simpson right now.
I'm taking Bama to win this one because of Ty Simpson and what they have in the running game. I think looking at Alabama's schedule, checking it out right now, they'll play Tennessee next week.
Right.
Then they got to go to Columbia and play South Carolina, which was still out. Then they play LSU. Then they play Oklahoma.
Right.
Then they get a cupcake to eat before playing Auburn. They're going to slip up in one of these games. I don't know if it's going to be against South Carolina or Missouri. I just feel like something's going to happen with Bama. So I'm taking Alabama in the 3.5. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
That looking at that one.
Yep.
Yeah, it is an interesting spread, and it makes me kind of nervous a little bit about that pick, but at least I'll be in a state where I can place bets this weekend for it.
There you go.
Yeah, looking at so two other games that stand out to me. Obviously, John Mateer, Brent Venables has been very, very tight-lipped about this, and obviously so. I look at the situation, and I think that this is how I phrase it to somebody else. In NASCAR, okay, bear with me here.
Yeah.
You get a playoff waiver if you have to miss a game because of the birth of a child or an injury and you miss a race or something like that, but you win, they'll give you a waiver to get in. To me, this feels like the perfect opportunity for Oklahoma to not rush John Mateer back. If he goes out there and he takes a hit on that hand or something along those lines and gets hurt, but if they play close, they got a good defense, and they still lose the game, Oklahoma can still make a run, towards the college football playoff, Chad. And I think, to me, looking at this, something inside of me thinks Texas is going to come out offensively and put it together. And maybe I'm just, overthinking this thing. All the art shit this week that he's a failure and a bust and all this stuff, which is just too early to be discussing. But Texas is favored. No, I'm sorry. Oklahoma's favored by -1.5 right now. We don't know about John Mateer.
That tells us to me. Vegas knows he's playing. Vegas knows he's playing. That's why that spread is where it is.
That's where it is to Chad and Brent, and obviously Brent Venables is not going to say anything. You're not going to know anything about John Mateer until the game's at 2:30 Central Time. You won't know until 1:30 Central Time when Oklahoma takes the field and taking snaps. Chad?
Yeah, I like Texas in this game. I got kind of the same funny feeling that I had a week ago about Florida over Texas.
Good pick, by the way. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like I should have picked it for wrong team favored, but I did not go with my gut. But I feel the same about Texas this week. I think they bounce back. I think Arch plays better. It's not too hard to play better than what he's been playing, quite frankly.
Right.
It's been bad. I mean, it's too early to say the guy is some miserable failure or a bust, but it's not too early. I mean, we're halfway through the season to say there's no way he's going to reach expectations this year. There's no way Texas is going to. I feel very confident in saying that this team was overhyped. Their offensive line is bad. Arch looks. We had Sean Salisbury on the show this week, and he even said mechanically he's off. I mean, everyone who watches quarterbacks say there's something not right with Arch Manning when you watch him play. So I think they get this one this week in the rivalry game. I think even if Mateer's back, it's going to be a bit tricky with him coming back from that injury. So give me Texas in a very close game.
See, to me, it's just Texas's offensive line is not going to measure up. They haven't all season. Texas. Okay, so Texas is the Texas A&M team, Chad. When we went to College Station, they were 3-2. Everyone's talking shit, right? And we were like, why are we here? We literally said that on air. Why are we here?
Yeah.
Now, a much bigger game then, but this is the biggest for them, both teams. If Mateer's back, I think Oklahoma's winning the game with their defensive front and against that offensive line. I think he's playing because if you're transferring there, this is the game you would come back for. You don't rest it out, and this is what you want. So with that in mind, give me Oklahoma. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Texas open as the favorite?
Yes.
Now Oklahoma's favored, right?
Yes.
Give me Oklahoma.
The line has switched on this one, and here's what worries me about Texas. The leading rusher through 6 games of the season is Arch Manning with 160 yards. He is the leading rusher for the Texas Longhorns.
That tells you everything about the offensive line. To me, that in this game, if they don't have that, they don't win.
Everything, and it does. But I'm going to flip this up on you. I think Arch Manning comes back. I think Arch Manning has a great day with his wide receivers. I think they figure out a way. I think if they don't have John Mateer, even if they do have John Mateer, I think the Texas defense is going to dial up enough to put a lot of pressure on him, to force him to make 40-yard throws down the field that we don't know if he can make yet. Now, there might be folks inside the building that know, but we don't know. So looking at it from that standpoint with Michael Hawkins, I'm just going to go with Arch Manning that he bounces back. Steve Sarkisian pulls something out of his ass on offense and is able to beat this Oklahoma team. So, we got Chad goes to Texas. I go to Texas. Hut staying with Oklahoma. And I get why Hut is staying with Oklahoma. So fascinating game that will be. Curious if John Mateer does come out and play, by the way, boys, and he throws for 350 yards, they're going to build a freaking statue for that damn orthopedic doctor outside Gaylord Stadium in Norman. So
I wish both quarterbacks were just, firing on all cylinders for this. I
right,
really do. This would be awesome.
I know, and so that intriguing to me. The last one that I'm going to throw at you, and this was kind of I didn't tell you guys before because there was a reason why. Florida beat Texas last weekend, and they look damn good in the process. Over 400 yards heading into the fourth quarter. Now they're going to pack their bags and they're going to go face the other Texas team, Texas A&M, Saturday night in College Station. If Florida's offense puts it together like they did against Texas, this could turn into something very interesting in the Billy Napier revival tour that could be going down right now in Gainesville, Hutton. I got a weird feeling about this. I love Marcel Reed and I love the Aggies and what they're doing. But damn, if Florida can bring it like they did last week, this one could get very dicey for the Aggies.
Chad, is this in one of your? Is this game in your top 10 for tomorrow's show?
Oh yeah, it's in the top 10.
Yeah, okay.
Right. I don't know the exact number, but it's going to be right around the middle of the top
10. So I can't wait to watch this game.
Yes,
because Billy Napier is doing it again. It feels like where everything's against him, and he's turning the corner, and he has his team playing for him.
Yes.
I think the A&M's playing for Reed. I love Marcel Reed. I love watching him play.
Yes.
This is to me, what's the spread on this game?
This one currently sitting at A&M 7.5.
See, I mean, this is like home field advantage, like 3.5 to me. I think it's a great game. Yeah, yes. If we're doing a very just under the radar games to watch, like game of the weekend, to me, this has the potential to be just that. I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50. Now, here's the thing. What's A&M like at home versus Florida on the road here? Right?
That's it. That's it.
It's hard for me to pick against A&M at home.
I know.
But you know what?
At night.
I didn't go with wrong team favorite.
At night, yeah.
I'm going with my gut. Florida wins. Billy Napier goes on the road and gets monumental win number 2 of the season and starts to rewrite the narrative of this season.
Yeah.
Look, it's not – if you're a Florida fan, short of winning every game from here on out, which he's not going to do.
Right.
Doing that,
yep.
I don't know how you're happy about his tenure, right? Because you can't bury yourself in a 1-3 hole time and time again and then start playing well as the year goes on and get to 500 and suddenly everything's okay. I don't think that's going to be the case for Billy Napier. I think this is probably his last year regardless.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're going to continue the hot streak. DJ Lagway is going to look like he did a week ago and not like earlier in the year. And I think they go to A&M and give the Aggies their first loss of the season.
I am going with DJ Lagway going back to his home state and putting on a show and building off what he did against last week against the Longhorns and beating Texas A&M in a fun, close game. And by the way, don't freak out, Florida fans, just like Chad just said here, okay? Like, don't trip out because they win another big game if they actually do this shit because – by the way, you already got 3 losses on the season. You're going to catch probably 2 or 3 more, probably 3, to be honest with you. So Florida will make a move. So don't freak out about this unless Florida just goes on a freaking miracle run and somehow gets into the playoffs with 3 losses, which I don't see that happening. So
I'm taking the Aggies, by the way.
Yeah, I could figure you were taking the Aggies.
Yeah, I'm shocked 2/3 of the panel went with Florida. I thought I was really going to step out there and say that and pick them, but Trey's got my back on that one. So Sunbelt Billy strikes again. It's SEC Billy time.
There you go. Hey, on the way out.
Billy, only the first half of the season does Sunbelt Billy come out. We're into October now, baby. It's SEC Billy time the rest of the way.
It's SEC title. Hey, on the way out, does Georgia have any chance of going to Auburn and losing on Saturday night?
I think they got a good chance of losing. You know, they should have beat Alabama. You know, it's not like they played terrible in that game. They had every chance to do it, and some poor coaching and then just not making a couple plays, they don't win that game. But Auburn's defense is good enough to give them a shot. And
there you go.
The offense has been the disappointment under Hugh Freeze, which when you're an offensive head coach, that's a problem for the head coach when your side of the ball is the one lacking. But their defense is going to give them a chance, certainly going to give them a chance at home in this game. I don't think they do. I think Georgia wins. I think they win by a touchdown or maybe 2. But I do think that Auburn's good enough defensively to give the Tigers a real chance.
Hey, I mean, like, if we're just talking straight picks here. Georgia's not covering. They haven't covered. They're 1-5 in their last 6 covering the spread. Just throw that
That's
out
a
there.
good point. That's a good point. And Vegas knows something too. They're only 3.5 on the road.
Well, this is always a crazy game.
Yes.
This is always one of those games. Something wacky happens.
Yes,
but
a Bo Nix interception. Yeah,
right. Yeah, right. I just don't. I mean, I just don't think Jackson Arnold's that dude.
No. They can't convert a third down, and Hugh Freeze is not running the football, so that's going to be hard to beat Georgia. I think Georgia wins the football game, but I think it's close, and I think we get the greatest rivalry in the South, whatever it is. I think it's a fun game.
The Deep South longest rivalry.
I should know that. Being from the state, having a damn hat with the state of Alabama emblem on it, I should have known that.
The longest played continuous rivalry in the SEC. I know every year with Auburn, Georgia.
It's gonna be a fascinating weekend again. Pay attention. There are going to be upsets. There are going to be stuff that probably shocks you, just like we had last weekend. Shout out to Penn State for dropping that horrible last game to UCLA, and Nico having a Heisman type moment. Oh, that shit's going to come to an end this week. But congratulations on the win. Penn State is on a James Franklin might be looking for another
Jerry
job.
Neuheisel gets to be Sean McVay for a week. So congrats to him. He is everybody's darling this week. That sounds just like his dad too. It's eerie when you hear him interviewed. I mean, he sounds just like Rick. I love it.
Yes. It was really cool seeing him getting let off the field or in the arms last weekend. A replica of what had happened previously, guys. Another fantastic time. Lots of fun college football this weekend. Chad, tell everybody where they can follow the show on you guys every single day.
Yeah, you can search at Outkick Hot Mic on YouTube to find us and follow us on our personal socials as well. And we tweet out, post a lot of different things, clips, links to the show. So follow us on our personal pages.
All right, Chad, enjoy the weekend. Thanks for having another episode of the CFB Roundtable, powered by Outkick.com. We'll see you next week.